The first phase of penetration testing we're going to be discussing is planning. In this video, we'll begin to break down the different phases of a pen test. We're starting with the planning phase. So we're going to break down the planning phase in each of its components, as well as consider the ramifications of a real attack on a real system. Let's get started. The first step of a penetration test is going to be planning. And to plan, you'll need to set your objectives. So you'll be meeting with your client and going over exactly what the goals of the penetration test are going to be. Is it targeting specific data, a specific person or group? We discussed in previous modules that you could be focusing on a network, an application, a system. So there's a lot to be taken into consideration. What's so important here, though, is that everything goes into a contract, because the contract is going to set the boundaries for what you are or are not able to do. So when establishing your boundaries, you need to take into consideration the legal and ethical ramifications of doing a real attack on a real system, a product or service. So the things you do could very well impact the availability of these products and services. So you need to take into consideration, do we want to do this during the weekdays, during the weekends? How far do we take this? Do we take it all the way down? Do we take it till we just gain access? So there's a lot of boundaries to set, and those need to be in writing, because if those are exceeded, if you go beyond what was set in those boundaries, there could definitely be legal ramifications for that. The last thing to consider is, do you need to inform any need-to-know individuals? Now, the whole purpose of a penetration test is to simulate a real-world attack. But you also don't want to be arrested in the middle of your test because you're trying to gain access to, if you're doing social engineering, you might be trying to gain access to a physical space that you don't have access to. So all those things really need to be weighed, and they need to be laid out in the planning phase. So that's mostly what we take into consideration for planning. The next phase is going to be how we gather information, the discovery.